One is, why do good people suffer and we see people who are pretty evil, they are having a good time? How do you explain that by karma? And as the questioner goes on to say, we look at not only one slice of time, one life, but many lives. The suffering I have now, the good things that happen. By the way, you notice that how we ask, why am I suffering this? We never ask, why am I enjoying this? The good things that happen in life, the misery that I get in life, I don't see how I produced it. It comes from past lives. And the karma that I'm doing now, which will have consequences in future lives. Now, a person who is evidently not a good person and still is having a pretty pleasant life, having a good time of it, and you see many such people, that is because of some good karma in the past lives. That's why they're having a good time now. But that good karma is getting exhausted very fast. And the bad karma is accumulating. And one day, disaster strikes these people. Everything collapses around them. And then suffering begins. And that suffering goes on life after life. God is merciful. I remember this philosopher who was a very interesting thinker. One of my friends, another young monk, he was telling me about this philosopher who is to stay in one of our ashrams in India. So this monk said, this philosopher was a unique thinker. So one day, this monk, my friend, he was standing in the ashram in Calcutta, looking down on the street where this beggar was standing. And the beggar had only one leg. And he was standing with crutches, and he was begging for money. And this philosopher, who could apparently move like a cat, you would hear him coming. Suddenly, this monk hears a whisper in his ear, feeling sorry for him, are we? And the monk sort of jumped out of his skin, and he said, yes, I feel... Can you hear me? Yes, I feel sorry for this person, the beggar down there, because he doesn't have a leg. And why is it so cruel? And the philosopher said, but, if only you knew what he had done in his past lives, then you would be rushing down there to cut off his other leg. God is merciful. Now, this seems a very harsh thing to say, but that's a very different way of looking at it. So, yes, there are consequences. We see sometimes consequences for such people in this life, and the consequences extend into future lives also. Now, the second part of the question is, but we don't remember. What good is it if it extends into future lives? What good is it if I did something bad in my past life and I'm suffering now, I don't remember, I don't connect it? Your question seems to be, so we don't learn anything from it. You're just suffering, right? What you are saying is, we don't have memory of past lives. So what good is the law of karma as a moral tool? How do we learn from it? Remember something, it's very interesting. If you notice our lives, we really don't learn from memory. We make a mistake, we understand it's a mistake, we do it again. Every time you repeat a quarrel with your mom or dad or wife or husband, you see that you have had this quarrel 100 times earlier. And every time you realized it was useless. But you go ahead again. Memory does not help us. A person who gets into trouble, maybe an addiction, maybe says something nasty or something happens and regrets it. The mechanism of regret, guilt. You see, it's very interesting. I did it, and later I wish I had not done it. The same conscious agent does it and wishes that he or she had not done it. And yet, in many cases, we go on to repeat it. It's the story of human life. Many of us, we repeat the same mistake. Memory does not teach. Mostly it does not. You know what teaches? Experience in the form of samskara. Tendencies accumulated in past lives. Every child is born with that. You see children, as they grow up in the same family, they are different from each other. Some people are by nature good-natured. Some are by nature generous. Not because of memory that I was stingy in my past life and I was unhappy, let me be generous in the present life. Not thinking consciously like that. Just a generous nature. Just a kind nature. Just a cruel nature. Just a jealous nature. What is this nature? Prachina karma sanchaya. Prachina karma. Ancient karma is upon us in the form of our tendencies. You want to know your past lives? It may be scary. There's one way, without getting memories of your past lives, there's one way of knowing your past lives. Look at your tendencies in this life. That reveals something of what we were in our past lives. Generally, this past life regression, there might be something to it, but what makes me suspicious is everybody in the past life was either Cleopatra or an emperor or some tragic figure or something like that. Nobody was a washerman, nobody was a farmer. Yeah, there are stories of past lives. Anyway, we'll not go into that. But so these tendencies we carry from life to life, that's what changes us. And those tendencies, how do we acquire them? Through suffering, unfortunately. We acquire those tendencies through experience in this life. There's some great desire to enjoy something. Maybe I really love to travel. Okay, so I travel a lot in this life. Next life I'm born, I have no memory of having traveled a lot, but I'm not particularly interested in traveling anymore. Some satisfaction has come. So is it only through experience? Is it only through suffering? There is another way. The wise person gets this through practice. Whatever you have practiced consciously in this life, you will get in the results in the next life also. Practice meditation assiduously, not working, next life a great meditator. Practice musician, mediocre musician, next life a great musician. Those things come. Child prodigies, how do you explain that? Music, mathematics, language, polyglots, speaking 20 languages, 30 languages effortlessly. So, what you practice consciously, that's why conscious spiritual practice never lost. Krishna is asked by Arjuna in the Gita, 6th chapter, suppose I do not get enlightenment in this life, then is it all wasted? All the prayer and meditation and study and good deeds? Krishna says, never. Nahi kalyana krittata durgatim kaschit gacchati. The one who walks on this path of enlightenment, this path of welfare, well-being, of the truly good path, nothing that this person does, he or she, nothing is lost. You start from where you left off. If I do not get enlightenment in this life, nothing is left. Nothing is lost. Next life, I start off where I left off. I may not remember. What happens? Krishna says, at death, this person goes to heaven and has a very nice time of it, because a spiritual practitioner generally is a good person. So you have done a lot of good things in life. The result of that you get as a pleasant life in heaven. That's good. Then what happens? That too comes to an end. In Hinduism, there are many heavens. Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, there are many heavens, many hells. But all of them come to an end, no eternal. And you come back again to this life for another crack at enlightenment. And when you come back, Krishna says, Karyate riyate hi avasho apisa. This person will be swept along helplessly by the force of past practice. You may not remember having meditated. You may not remember having had the company of holy people. You may not remember having memorized verses and verses of Upanishads, Gita, Bible, or whatever. But that force is there, and you go ahead in spiritual life. So, my answer to that question is, we do learn lessons. It works through experience and what is called samskara. People change through samskara, not so much through memory. Memory of past lives not really helpful. Somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, I think Sister Christine or Nivedita, can I get memories of my past life? And Swami Vivekananda scolded her, said, sufficient unto the day the evil thereof. You cannot deal with the problems of this life. You want to invite problems of past lives? What do you think your past life was? It'll be another version of this. Enormous problems. And they come back, guilt and problems and frustration and suffering and old age and disease and death. You want that? Once again? The last part of the question was that how do you account for past lives and future lives and karma, is it all fate, or do you account for that? Very simple. I think I'm going on too long for each question. Very simple. I'll give you straight answer for that. How do you account for the law of karma? Is it taken on fate? No, it's based on causality. Each cause must have an effect, and whatever we see in our lives must have a cause. Why? Because the alternative is meaninglessness. Alternative is meaninglessness, just accidental. There's no cause. So causality, we accept causality in every aspect of life. Science is based on causality. Common sense is based on causality. Everything is based on causality. Why would you not accept causal in a moral sense in life as good karma, bad karma? And what about many lives? It is just an extension of the law of karma. A lot of effects we see in this life, we cannot explain it by one life. There must have been past lives. A lot of things happen in this life, we don't see the results. We must have future results. Technically in philosophy, Indian philosophy, it is called Akrita Abhyupagama and Kritanasha. Akrita Abhyupagama means, the Sanskrit word means, arising of something that has not been caused. I don't do anything, I get the results, if there are no past lives. And Kritanasha means destruction of what has already been set into motion without giving results. So if I do something, good or bad, and I have no more future lives, then what about the results? I did not get what I deserved, good or bad. So these are the two logical faults which will happen if there are no past lives or future lives. Accepting the law of karma.